I'll take this challenge anytime, to going west in a covered wagon. I'll take this challenge anytime over the challenge the people had who fought the revolution and gave us our freedom. They had their lives on the line. This is just hard work. If we will do it, if we will team up, if we will make our diversity a strength instead of a weakness, if we will focus on a goal, and if we won't quit until the battle is won, we can pass on the American dream to our children, because we can do anything in this great country. That is the American dream. We can be anything we want to be.
In the past 18 months, it was discovered that the ideas of liberty and the revolution was alive and well, and we're celebrating it here tonight.
So we have, I think, a wonderful opportunity. I see there's an era is ending, how fast it's going to go, and how successful we are. Nobody knows this, but I do know that if we don't propagate and promote and expand these ideas, not just in the Mises Institute, or not just in Texas, or not just in the Republican Party, or not just in the United States, it has to be universal, because it's been universal for too long about tyranny of government. And people talk to me and they'll say, well, you're radical, you want to go back to the Dark Ages. No, I would say tyrannies in the Dark Ages. We want to advance the cause of liberty.
What truly matters is not which party controls our government, but whether our government is controlled by the people. Everyone is listening to you now. You came by the tens of millions to become part of a historic movement, the likes of which the world has never seen before.
I can guarantee you that practically everything that I will say will be politically incorrect. So I just want to warn you right now.
Thank you so much. Somebody was telling me a while ago that they were trying to count the crowd, and there's somewhere between 500 and 700 people here. Isn't that amazing? Yeah. Okay, now I want to ask you a series of questions, and I want to hear from you, okay? Have you had enough of fast-talking politicians who campaign as conservatives but govern as anything but that? Have you had enough of that? Okay, all right. Have you had enough of a state government that grows regardless of the burden that it places on you, the taxpayers? Have you had enough of that? Yeah, I thought so. Have you had enough of a state government that listens to the special interests while never listening to you? Have you had enough of that? Yeah, so have I. Have you had enough of an overreaching federal government that micromanages your life and forces their will on you against your will? Have you had enough of that? Well, I have too. Have you had enough of progressives in the Northeast and out there on the left coast shoving their liberal morality down your throats? Have you had enough of that? Yeah, well, I have too. Have you had enough of so-called pro-life politicians who promise that they're pro-life, but as soon as they're elected, they don't intend to do anything to actually end abortion in our state? Have you had enough of those kinds of politicians? Well, I say, so have I. Enough already. Enough already. Enough already. Enough already. Enough already. I've had enough. Share with you just some very critical points. First of all, I want you to know that I do not believe that we have proper government in Oklahoma. Now, you may be saying, well, what's proper government? How do I know what proper government is? Well, I'll tell you what we can do. We can look at what Thomas Jefferson wrote in the Declaration of Independence. That's our birth certificate. Thomas Jefferson said that the primary function of government is to protect and defend our God-given unalienable rights, of which preeminently are life, liberty, and property. Now, that's the job of government. The job of government is not to overstep its bounds and through confiscatory tax power take away your hard-earned money. In fact, I'm here to tell you that if I'm elected as governor, the first thing that I'm going to do is call for a forensic audit of every agency and every program in the state. And we're going to audit. Now, here's the deal. Some are going to say, well, Dan, how in the world would you, as the governor, stop something like abortion? I mean, after all, hasn't the Supreme Court of the United States said that abortion is legal? Who cares what they think? You know what? The last time I checked, courts offer opinions. Isn't that correct? Well, they just happen to have the wrong opinion. And this isn't the first time they've had the wrong opinion. Think back 1857. You know what our Supreme Court said? Said black people are not humans. They're private property. They were wrong then. They're wrong now. But you see, when people start asking about the Supreme Court, that also indicates that there's another problem. And so it's another important issue that I want you to know that I care deeply about, and that is state sovereignty. I believe that it is time for states to begin to stand up and reassert state sovereignty. It is time.
In Federalist 45, James Madison said, the powers that are delegated to this new central government are few and defined. Do you think Washington, D.C. sees its powers as few and defined? No, of course they do not. Then he went on to say, and the powers that are still reserved to the states are numerous and indefinite. Do you think the Supreme Court of the United States believes that the powers of the state of Oklahoma are numerous and indefinite? No, of course they do not. So what has happened? Well, we have forgotten those valuable pieces of information.
It's very easy for you to remember our 4 main points. Now, obviously, we have to be about a lot of things, and I get that. But there are 4 important issues that you need to remember. You need to memorize these, and you need to begin to spread the word all over this state. It's very easy to remember what we're going to be running on because you can take the letters to the abbreviation ASAP, turn them vertical, ASAP, and each one of those represents what we're going to be talking about. The first A stands for abolish abortion. That's the first A. The S in ASAP stands for state sovereignty. States matter or they don't, right? The second A, the third letter in ASAP, the second A stands for audit everything. Now understand, it's more than audit everything. What it really means is it is time to shrink our state government within its proper function, get it off of our backs. You know, I'm tired of our government handing out to their buddies your tax dollars through crony capitalism and corporate welfare. Are you tired of funding everybody else? Yeah. So that's the third letter in ASAP. Now here's the last letter, P. That stands for proper government. We're going to go back to our birth certificate, the Declaration of Independence, and we're going to use Thomas Jefferson's definition of government. Its job primarily is to protect our God-given unalienable rights, of which are paramount life, liberty, and property. And if you'll notice, all of the points in ASAP are about life, abolish abortion, liberty, state sovereignty. It's the state's job to protect your liberty, not Washington, D.C. They're too busy taking it away from you anyway. And then, of course, property, that's audit everything, shrink the government down. So we are following the template that Thomas Jefferson laid down in the Declaration of Independence. So then, it's very easy for you to remember what we're going to be about. Guys, the bottom line is this. Our government is out of control. I think you would agree with that. And I'm talking about our state government. Things are not as good in Oklahoma as they ought to be. Things are not as good in Oklahoma as they should be. This is a wonderful state. This state is filled with wonderful people. Why on earth have we allowed this to happen in our state? It is time for people like you and people like me to stand up, speak out, and say, enough already. I've had enough already. People of conviction. I can see it. I can sense it. I can hear it. But friends, we also have to have the courage of our convictions. We can't just have convictions. We have got to do the courageous thing, and that's what they did. Now let's translate that forward to 2017. Right here in Oklahoma, I believe in some ways we're facing a very similar moment. We can either begin to push back on our state government, force it back within its proper role, stop this slaughter of our unborn babies, the murder of these babies, straighten out our government, tell the federal government to take care of what they're supposed to take care of and get out of our business, or we can just shut up. Because you know, I really think, I agree. You see, it is time for us to do what our forefathers did. In fact, let me tell you how I see this. If I'd been there, if you had been there, here's what I think we would have said. You know what? It's time to tell King George no. It's time to tell the Parliament no. It's time to stand up for our liberties. And I'll tell you what I'd rather do. I'd rather die on my feet than live on my knees. I would rather die on my feet than live on my knees. I would rather die on my feet than live on my knees. How about you? You feel the same way? Well, then here's what we have to do. You've got to take this message everywhere because we're outfunded, but we are certainly not out-supported. Do you realize that the other candidates have had gatherings like this of 25 and 30 people? Look around you. Look at this. Turn around, guys. Those of you who are in the front, look at this. Here's the deal. You are not alone. And this is just a fraction. I believe this is just the tip of a very large iceberg that is under the water. And we all know that the biggest part of the iceberg is below the surface. So friends, we need to take this message all over this state. And if you care about these principles, then I'm going to ask you to support us. I'm going to ask you to help us. And June of 2018, I'm going to ask you to vote for Dan Fisher as the next governor for the state of Oklahoma. God bless you, and God bless the great state of Oklahoma. Thank you. Thank you.
This is not a game. We're talking about life, protecting the unborn. We're talking about liberty. We're talking about property. We're talking about things that matter. So if you want to elect someone who really is willing to talk about difficult issues, then I'm the guy. I'm not going to be talking about fluffy stuff. I'm not going to be promising being able to solve all the problems. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to talk straight with you. I'm going to talk about things that matter to you and your family, because I've had enough, haven't you? So if you've had enough, then check me out. Dan Fisher for governor of Oklahoma.
Let us go forth to lead the land we love, asking His blessing and His help, but knowing that here on earth, God's work must truly be our own.